our senior and most respected brother, Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde, former Chief Justice of India, my very distinguished colleagues in the Supreme Court, Justice Bhushan Gavai and Justice Abhay Oak, respected former judges of the High Court and of the Supreme Court, Justice Sirpurkar is part of the audience, Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, Justice Nitin Samre, Administrative Judge, Judges of the High Court, Dr. Birendra Saraf, Advocate General, Member of the Bar Council of India and members of the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, Mr. Atul Pandey, President Nagpur High Court Bar Association, the Secretary of the High Court Bar Association, members of the association, esteemed dignitaries, including officials of the state government, members of the registry, my own Secretary General, Mr. Atul Kurekar, ladies and gentlemen. Just this morning, I was reading a beautiful article in the New York Times by Justice Stephen Breyer about what judges of the Supreme Court do apart from disagreeing or agreeing with each other on the bench. In India, we tend to agree much more than the American Supreme Court. And the drift of the article is that despite the fact that judges express their views either in favor of what the other judge is saying or against the view so dispassionately and sometimes with a great deal of vigor, they are at heart very good friends. Justice Bobde narrated how we came to call each other Lordship at a time when the vagaries and uncertainties of the appointment process were confounding us as to whether we would at all become judges of the High Court. We decided to call each other Lordship, which we still do today. Justice Gavai, to both Justice Bobde and me, is HMJ. So even today in the Supreme Court, when we meet in the coffee lounge, I welcome him because I normally arrive a little before he arrives. I always call him HMJ, welcome. I've had a long association with both the bar and bench at Nagpur. I had the privilege of sitting here twice for over 3 months when I was still cutting my teeth as a young judge of the High Court. And I learned a great deal from the bar. I spent very happy months here in the company of all of you who educated me in areas of law which I was not familiar with. But even before that, I was the beneficiary of members of the bar who made this cross-migration to Mumbai. Justice Bobde's distinguished father, Bhausaheb Bobde, and Justice Vasanti Naik's very distinguished father, Mr. B.R. Manohar. I can only tell you this, that one of the early cases which I appeared as a junior with Mr. Bhausaheb Bobde involved the withdrawal of the prosecution which was launched against the head of the Dawoodi Bohra community. And the test was, what is the test to be applied for the withdrawal of a prosecution of this nature? And I learned so much, not merely about the law, but about strategizing about the law from Bhausaheb in that case. Bhausaheb was flooded with work, far more work than he could handle, particularly after he became Advocate General. And ever so often I would get a call from him, and in his typical way he would say, Chandrachud, you go to Madgaon and argue this matter. And I would go to Madgaon and argue that matter because he couldn't do the matter. Speaking about B.R. Manohar, there was a case which was a very complex EXIM case, import and export case. Our senior, who was briefed in the High Court, names not to be taken, on every occasion that the case was listed, would say that I don't know anything about this case because it is so complex and please brief me all over again. The day before the final hearing was to start, we were told by the clerk of the senior that he is not going to accept the brief and he is returning the brief. The advocate on record was simply astounded because we had spent about 8 or 9 days in conference with the senior. So he asked me whom should we brief, and I said, let's go and speak to Manoj Sahib, who has just come to Mumbai for some other case. So he said, I'm going to go back to my room at the Oberoi by about 12:30. Come and see me at 5 o'clock in the evening for conference. At 5:30, when we went to Mr. Manohar's room, he was completely ready with the facts and the law. He had typically his green register where he would make notes in his beautiful handwriting. And he told us at 5:30, I have 3 questions to ask you about this case. That's all that you need to answer. I'm ready with the case. As for the rest, I'm giving you a list of authorities. Please keep them ready in the court. Justice Gavai, in his presentation, spoke about how glad he is that Justice Sambre has made the shift back from Mumbai to Nagpur to head this bench as the administrative judge. Of course, I support that. But equally, I do respect the fact that this cross migration is taking place between Nagpur and Mumbai. That was the tradition in which stalwarts from Nagpur came to Mumbai, established themselves as leading members of the bar in Mumbai. Likewise, lawyers from Mumbai appeared here, judges from Nagpur came and occupied important positions. I personally learnt a great deal in my early years as a judge of the High Court from senior colleagues like Justice Daga, who is present in the audience, with whom we shared so many happy moments discussing not just law but life as well. I learnt a great deal from members of the services, from the service judiciary who became judges of the High Court. Justice R.C. Chavan is here. As a young member of the bar who was appointed to be a judge of the High Court at the raw age of barely 40, I knew little about the district judiciary. But we learned a great deal about the district judiciary in our contact with members of the district judiciary who came to occupy important positions of responsibility in the High Court. So I do believe that this cross-fertilization of ideas, without regard to hierarchy, without regard to status, is crucial to promote the stability of our High Court as an institution. Speaking about Justice Mohta, I can really spend the whole night about sharing reminiscences, but just one last reminiscence and then I'll make a brief presentation on the subject for this evening. I was appearing before a division bench which was presided over by Justice Mohta in a very important case relating to a Sakhar Karkhana. The bench of Justice Mohta and Justice Jhunjhunwala was dead against us. Every time that we appeared before them, they would say that, well, there's nothing in the case. On the last date before Diwali, the matter was called out in chambers before Justice Mohta, and Justice Mohta turned to me and said, well, he said, counsel, would you like to take your chance before another bench? Today is the last date before the Diwali and the assignments will change as they do in Mumbai after Diwali. So would you like to go before another bench? We'll release this from part heard. So I looked at Justice Mohta and I said, my lords, I've argued this case to the best of my ability. I know that your lordship is completely against me. But I'm personally satisfied as a lawyer that I have said all that needs to be said in this case, and your lordships has understood everything that needs to be understood in this case. So I would request you now, please close this case for judgment. I will not take much of your time on the day before Diwali, but please deliver judgment. I understand that your lordships are against me. So the two judges looked at each other, they confabulated, and they said, well, we are also tired at the end of a long term. Let this go before another bench. So please don't insist that we write the judgment in this case. So the matter was made departed. I re-argued it before another division bench and succeeded hands down with a full refund of tax. But later, Justice Mohta called me to his chamber and he said, irrespective of what happened in your case before some other bench, I must tell you that when you left the chamber, you grew in our respect because you placed the dispensation of justice above the needs of your own client. And that's what I wanted to begin by sharing with the members of the bar. So all of us have been beneficiaries of this great tradition of Nagpur. So this year I am delighted to be part of the centenary year celebrations of the Nagpur High Court Bar Association. On 6th of January 1940, when this magnificent High Court building was inaugurated, it was described, as Justice Bobde said, by the erstwhile Viceroy as a poem in stone. Even today in 2024, with all the advancements in technology and modern design, this building remains an architectural marvel. It is always a privilege and honor to be here. I also realize the limitations of my own mobile phone when I was trying to take a picture of the building sitting here, that the mobile phone, despite technology, cannot just capture the grandeur of the building. There are some things which you can only absorb and you cannot capture, which is so true to our tradition of meditation, reflection, introspection, and not necessarily of recording everything as we do in courts of law. The Nagpur High Court Bar Association has a unique history of being christened a High Court Bar Association much before the actual High Court was established in 1936. In 1928, almost 8 years before the High Court was established, the Bar Association renamed itself a High Court Bar Association and made fervent demands for a High Court to be set up in Nagpur. In fact, the members of the association not only advanced the demand to set up a High Court in Nagpur, but also to elevate members of the Nagpur Bar as judges of that court. The active and vibrant spirit of the association today is undoubtedly rooted in this rich and dynamic history spanning over 100 years. The Nagpur Bar has given to the country legal stalwarts and judges who have left a deep imprint on our judiciary and the jurisprudence of our courts. Two Chief Justices of India, Justice Hidayatullah and my own very dear friend and elder brother, Justice Sharad Bobde, are products of this illustrious bar. The Supreme Court has been enriched by the invaluable contributions of several judges from the Nagpur Bar, such as Justice Sir Vivian Bose, in whose court I had the great privilege of sitting, courtroom number BB, Justice J.R. Mudholkar, Justice A.P. Sen, with whom I would spend many, many evenings as a visiting judge in Nagpur, Justice V.S. Surpurkar, and of course my own very dear colleague, Justice B.R. Gavai. I'm confident that the Nagpur Bar will continue to foster excellence in advocacy and also contribute to the bench by producing many more distinguished members in the future. I'm sure so many of you will be guided by the examples of those who are in your midst, in Mumbai included, and Nagpur. Shri Haryanya is here. But we must also remember people who are unfortunately not with us today, like Justice Vinod Bobde, a lawyer par excellence and a human being par excellence. Bar associations at all levels in our district courts, high courts, and the Supreme Court play a significant role in democratizing the courtroom and facilitating the collaborative governance of our courts. They ensure that lawyers, both seniors and juniors, have a forum to express their concerns, suggestions, and ideas to collaborate with the government, the bench, and other stakeholders. On a day-to-day basis, it is the bar associations, as representatives of the lawyers, who directly engage with the court and the registry. Almost every day when I climb down from the steps of the Chief Justice's court, there would be at least 2 or 3 members of the Bar Association waiting to meet me. There is something so very urgent that they want me to attend to. Lawyers are central stakeholders in the functioning of our courts and active bar associations, such as the Nagpur High Court Bar Association, and they ensure that there is a constant and productive dialogue between the bar and the bench. Although many of us judges have been a part of the bar at different points in time, interactions with the associations ensure that we do not become detached from the everyday realities of our colleagues at the bar. The role of a bar association, however, must not be limited to only advancing the immediate concerns of lawyers. The role extends to a broader institutional responsibility to enhance the functioning of the judiciary and protect the dignity of the court. Bar associations must focus on improving the quality of advocacy at the bar, and more importantly, making our courtrooms more accessible and safe for our citizens. Recently, the Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance of an incident involving the manhandling of a senior advocate and a young lawyer in one of the district courts during a boycott called by the Bar Association not too far from Delhi. You are fortunate that these incidents are not par for the course in Nagpur. The specifics of this incident aside, it is incumbent upon the bar associations to ensure the safety of all the members of the bar when they come to practice before the court. With hybrid hearings, lawyers from across the country appear before courts in different regions. Bar associations must adopt a more accommodative and inclusive approach, ensuring safety and welcoming all the members of the bar who practice before that court. I was pleased to hear about the legal aid project called Nyayadut run by the Nagpur High Court Bar Association to ensure pro bono access to legal resources for persons residing in the villages in the Vidarbha region. I urge the younger members of the bar to contribute to such initiatives. It serves as an opportunity to not only use your premier education and training to secure justice to ordinary citizens, but it is also a way to sharpen your legal skills and advocacy. Similarly, the steps taken by the Nagpur High Court Bar Association to mentor and improve the skills of younger members of the bar by regularly organizing lecture series and study circles must be appreciated. My last act before I left my position as visiting judge at Nagpur to go to Mumbai was to deliver a lecture on international law, which the bar had requested me to deliver. I must also highlight the importance of having an independent bar and, as a result, independent bar associations. The judiciary has time and again risen to the occasion to assert its independence and non-partisanship, a separation of powers from the executive, the legislature, and vested political interests. We must not forget, however, that there is a close link between the independence of the judiciary and the independence of the bar. The bar as an institution is essential to preserve judicial independence, constitutional values, and the dignity of the court. In a vibrant and argumentative democracy like ours, most individuals have a political ideology or inclination. To quote Aristotle, human beings are political animals. Lawyers are no exception. However, for members of the bar, one's highest loyalty must not lie with partisan interests, but to the court and the constitution.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.